friends, and welcome back to Swiftlessons for another lead guitar tutorial. A little over a week ago, I put out a new original song called The Follower, and since then I've received several requests from patrons and YouTube subscribers for me to break down the solo in that song. So this lesson is going to be dedicated to that. I'm going to be breaking down that solo lick by lick, but also explaining some of my thought process behind developing solos and explaining some of the notes that I chose to play. You can follow along using my tablature at patreon.com/swiftlessons. Become a member there to gain access to a ton of extra resources for all my popular YouTube guitar lessons. Now, let's get started. Okay, close look at the fretboard, getting started with section 1 of this lesson, learning the chord progression. Now this is really the most important detail if you want to understand how a given solo or lead line works, because lead lines are responding to the chords in the progression. So this tune's pretty simple. It's in 3/4 time. We're gonna have 4 main chords with some passing chords in between. It's gonna look and sound like this. Getting started with C major. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and C. F major. /E. D minor. G. G. And G7 with a walk down. Okay, so very simple. We start off with the C major chord, where we're going to be alternating the bass. Every other measure. Okay, so my picking hand is going bass, down, down, up, and then switching the bass note, bass, down, down, up. Okay, we're going to do that twice. Then the next measure is going to be a transition from C walking up to F. 1, 2, 3, and... Okay, so bass, down, down, up on the C major chord, then 3, 0, 2, 3, to transition to F, or you can also play F major 7, if you're going to include the open E string. Okay, once we've gotten to the F major chord, it's very helpful to count in 6, because we're going to be throwing in a little hammer-on lick that kind of ties together the two measures. Okay, so that's bass, down, down, up, with the middle finger coming up off of the 2nd fret G string, then hammering back down. And then following up with 2 more strums just to fill up the 2nd measure. Okay, a classic country style lick. Okay, from there we're going to be walking the F major chord down. So bass, strum, strum. Then the middle finger is going to go up 1 string to the 2nd fret of the D string. Okay, so now I'm holding down 2nd fret D, 1st fret B to create the chord F sus2 /E. Alright, then comes the D minor chord, bass, down, down. Okay, if you're going through those 3 chord shapes, you can also throw in the upstroke at the end. Before going to a G major chord, bass, down, down, up. We're going to repeat the G chord for another measure, before doing a nice little walk down back to C. Okay, so that is 3-0, that's the D and the G string, then 2-0, and then the open D string, back to the C major chord, where you're going to get back into that rhythm. Bass, down, down, G, down, down. And if you want, you can throw in a walk-up transition between those changes. You can hear me doing this a lot throughout the song. Bass, down, down, bass, down, 0, 2, 3. Just another detail. Okay, very good everybody. You should have that rhythm section down now. Let's put it to the test. We're going to play through the entire rhythm section. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, C. C/G. And C. And walk to the F. And walk to D minor. And G, and G, just like that. Okay, if you have that, then we're going to move on to learning some essential scales that I use to create my solo. Then I'm going to break it down for you lick by lick. Okay, very good everybody. You have the rhythm section down. Now we're jumping into section 2 of this lesson, learning a few scale positions that I used when composing my solo. Okay, so basically it's going to be 3 different positions of the major scale key of C. The first one is going to be in G position. So transposing my G chord shape to the key of C, just bringing my ring finger up to the 8th fret and barring. Surrounding this chord shape, I'm going to have a position of my C major scale. So that's what people mean when they say in G position. Okay, so there it is, the main grip that I was using. We have the 8th fret low E string. Then onto the A string, we're going to have 5, 7, 8. Then on the D string, we're going to have 5, 7. Onto the G string, we're going to have 4, 5, 7. And then onto the B string, we're going to have 5, 6, 8. The high E string, 5, 7, 8. You put all that together and we have 8, 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 4, 5, 7, 5, 6, 8, 5, 7, 8. Okay, on to your next scale position. It's going to be the common position of the C major scale. So it's going to be E position. If I take my common C major bar chord shape, rooted off of the low E string, I'm going to have a scale position that surrounds that as well. This should be review for most of you. We have 8 to 10 on the low E string. Then on the A string, 7, 8, 10. On the D string, we're going to have 7, 9, 10. Same thing on the G string. And then 8, 10 on the B. And then 7, 8 on the high E string. And of course I can start another octave from there. 10th fret high E string. Okay, the major scale in its common position. Okay, now just one more scale pattern that I want you to start practicing. You can do this, for a couple of weeks. It can be your main warm-up. We're going to be going into the C position of the C major scale. So, if I find myself a C bar chord shape, based off the C shape here, surrounding this shape, another position of the major scale. Okay, so that was 15 on the A string, 12 on the D, up to 14, and then up to 15. On the G string, we're going to have 12 and 14. Then on the B string, we're going to have 12 and 13. Then up to 15. And then the same thing on the high E string, 12, 13, and 15. Put all that together and we have... Okay, if you get all those positions down, it's going to greatly increase your ability to jam over the key of C. You're going to basically have access to the entire fretboard. So practice those scales, get them into your muscle memory. Okay, very good everybody. Now that you've gotten down the rhythm section and also my source scales, you're going to be able to better understand the licks that I'm teaching you. Jumping into your solo, starting with line number 1, following along using your tablature at patreon.com/Swiftlessons. It's going to sound like this. Okay, and then that gets you to line number 2. Okay, so I'm starting off playing over top of that C major chord, right, with the alternating bass. Now, one of the things I'm trying to do here is target the major 7 of that chord. Okay, so in a C major 7 chord, I've got the note B. So that's what I'm targeting here on the high E string. So I'm starting off actually playing a major 7 there on the G string as well. So 4, 5, and then go into 7 on the high E string. Now, another thing that I want you to think about is that I'm string skipping, and what that allows me to do is grab a note that is maybe a little bit less predictable for the listener. Okay, so 4, 5, 7, 4, 5, 5. We're going to repeat 4, 5, 7. Then we're going to play. Okay, getting very gypsy with it there. We're going 5 on the G, 5 on the high E, 4, 3. Now, this is the 3rd fret of the high E string. This is going to be the first note that you see on line number 2 of your tablature. So far you have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay, and if you want to, you can throw in the open G string. Before each of those phrases works for the key of C. Okay, very good everybody. Now moving on to line number 2. Here we're gonna have kind of a fancier lick that transitions us to the F major chord. It's gonna sound like this. And real slow. Okay, so that began with the 5th fret of the B string. We're going to be doing a little bit of a rake there with that note. That means I'm going to be covering up the D string and the G string before playing the B string live. Dead, dead, live. Should sound something like that. Okay, once we've done that, we're going to go up to 6, then moving into the next measure, right on C major, a hammer and a pull, 5, 6, 5, before going to the G string 7th fret. Okay, watch my pick carefully. Down, up, down, down. All right. Then we're going to go up from 5 to 6 to 8, again on the B string. So far you have. That's how you phrase that section there over C major. Okay, so far you have. Okay, now the next measure is going to transition us to the F major chord. Okay, walking down to the 2nd fret of the G string. It's a very important note and I'll explain later. Okay, so we pulled off from 6 to 5 on the B, then 7 on the G, down to 5, down to 4, slide into 3, and then to the 2nd fret of the G string, just as the F major chord comes in on measure number 8, if you're following along using your tab. Now, that's an important note because it's right inside of the F major chord. It's the chord's, the major 3rd of that chord. Okay, so this is a very, very good note to target as that chord transition happens. Okay, now I'm gonna play what you have so far, starting from measure 1. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Okay, now we're ready to move on to line number 3 of your tablature. Okay, very good everybody. You have lines 1 and 2 down. Now we're moving into line number 3. Thus far, our work has been centered around the major scale in this G position. Now we're going to be moving into that 2nd position that I taught you, the E position. Okay, so now we're on to line number 3 where we're going to be throwing in some more embellishments, a little bit of sweep picking, certainly more notes, and that's fitting because if you think about the trajectory of the solo, we started off with a very catchy hook. Very simple, very melodic. Any listener could hum that line. Then we got a little bit more ambitious as we transitioned to the F major chord. Okay, now line number 3, we're going to up the ante just a little bit more, but still stay melodic. Okay, that line real slow now. And that actually gets you into line number 4 there. Okay, so I started off with a little arpeggio sweep there. I've got the 9th fret, the 8th fret, and the 7th fret. G, B, and high E string. Okay, it's just a little tiny piece of this chord, C major 7. Okay, so that major 7 really makes things sound jazzy. That's why we keep targeting that note. Okay, so we're just gonna kind of sweep strum that. We which is basically just a slow strum where you can kind of hear the individual strings. Okay, then I'm gonna reach my pinky up to the 10th fret of the high E string. Then down to 8, 7, and then back down the arpeggio. Okay, so that was 8, 9, 10. So far you have. Alright, then we're going to go from 10 down to 9, and then down to 7. Alright, then we're going back down to 5. Alright, and then up to 7. Alright, now we're going to the G string 5th fret, 7th fret, and then sliding up to 9, and then grabbing the 8th fret of the B string, kind of in that upper extension of the C major pentatonic scale. Okay, so. And then just simply slide back down to 7, and then repeat that little line again. Repetition's always a good thing to throw into the middle of a solo. Okay, you put all that together really, really slow now, we're gonna have. And at full speed. Just like that. Okay, very well done everybody. You have your first 3 lines down. Now we're moving into the 4th and final line of this solo. It begins with that little slide and lick that we had finishing up line number 3. Okay, from there, we're going to get a little bit more bluesy with it as we transition into the C position of the C major scale that we talked about earlier. Now this lick is going to sound like this, first at full speed. And really slow now. Okay, breaking that down, we have the 12th fret of the G string going to 14. Then we're gonna have a little arpeggio, 13 and 12, B string and high E string. And then we're gonna walk up chromatically. We're on 12 now, we're going 13, 14, 15. Okay, this is one of my favorite little licks to throw in. Okay, next we're going to be arpeggiating just a little tiny piece of that C major chord shape. It also kind of can be thought of as a little D shape too. Okay, so 12, 13, 12, and then reaching your pinky to 15 on the D, we're just going to walk down to complete the lick. Okay, so that's 15, 13, 12, and 10. We're on C, resolving to the root of the chord. Okay, back to C major. Okay, you put that lick together and it sounds like this. Just like that. Okay, great job everybody. Thanks for going through this solo with me. I hope you enjoyed it. Now let's put everything together, see if we can play the solo in its entirety. A nice slow tempo. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Alright friends, thanks so much for checking out this lead guitar tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. As always, big thanks to my supporters at patreon.com/Swiftlessons. Thanks to you guys, I got many more lessons coming up, so keep checking in, please subscribe, please share. This is Rob at Swift Guitar Lessons in Philadelphia, saying happy picking.